I feel like every time I need to sit down and record something, I just have to figure out how everything works and like how OBS is set up to do things. Because I think I said in another video, it's like I just sit down one day and I record a bunch of stuff, and then I don't I don't come back to it until I run out of videos. So that's today's the day where I come back to recording because my Star Wars videos just ended, and I actually have some other things already recorded, but I just wanted to like properly finish the Star Wars franchise overview. So for whoever may have just landed in this channel, there is like 14, I believe, 14, 15, something like that, videos about um, every single Star Wars movie. So the main ones, like the main trilogies and the spin-offs, and there is like one animated video, um, one video about one animated movie, um, and I go deeply into those movies. Like I make a review of them, and in this one we'll just be talking about the franchise in general. I'll obviously go through every other movie, but very briefly. So I don't like the Star Wars franchise. I think we should take that out of the way first. And I don't know, maybe I just got burnt out of it because of the all the movies I had to watch to make those videos. Um, but thinking about every movie in this franchise, I don't know if like I really enjoyed it. It's more like there is some movies that I like, but if we look at the bigger picture, I don't know. I feel like there is way more stuff that I don't like or I didn't enjoy it than stuff that I did, and that happened even with the trilogy that I thought to be my favorite one, which was the prequels. So the first time I watched these movies, the prequels were like my favorite ones, and I didn't like it much of the original movies, because I felt like they were too slow paced. There was not much acrobatics on the fights, so I just didn't like them when I was growing up. And now that I rewatched the whole thing, I don't think like I can say that I enjoy any of the trilogies or the um, the entirety of any of the trilogies, because when we go to the prequels, well, there is the Phantom Menace, where no one likes, and then there is the I don't think I need to go into details about the Phantom Menace, but it's just like a setup for what is about to come. It's just a setup of the transformation Anakin will go through. So we are seeing him before everything. We are seeing him before he becomes Vader. We are seeing him before he becomes a Jedi. So it's just a setup for everything that is gonna come. Um, and I don't like that. The fights are cool, but I don't know. The story is just, it exists. And then we go to the second movie, The Attack of the Clones, which again is, the fights are really cool, the visuals are nice, but the story also, I feel like it does not hold up. And if you go back to my other videos, you'll see that I didn't even spend too much time talking about the second movie. The video about the Attack of the Clones is split into two segments. One is talking about the movie, and the other is talking about how I got introduced to the Star Wars franchise. Because there is not much to talk about that movie. Um, it's just like Obi-Wan trying to figure out the clone army and who's behind it. Um, while Anakin and Padme is in a totally different place, just being the couple they are. Um, so yeah, I think it's a very weak movie. Um, and then we get to the Clone Wars animation, which is solid, I guess. I didn't watch the Clone Wars, right? So I have no contact with the animated series. I just landed into that movie because I was searching for all Star Wars movies because I wanted to watch them all the canon ones, and this one was in the list, but it's not really a movie. It's just I think it's just the three first episodes of the show that they added it together. So if you have that in mind, it's an okayish movie. Nothing that great about it, but also nothing that terrible about it. And then we get to the only movie of the prequels that I really enjoy, which is the Revenge of the Sith. And it's where the story really starts to develop. It's where we finally see the Anakin's transformation into Vader, and I don't know. I think that's the best way to put it. It's the movie that really advances the story, because the first one's just Anakin being a kid, and the second one's just they trying to figure out the clone army, and here is when we finally get a deep dive into Anakin's character. And I like it for that. Then we get to Solo, which is a really bad movie. I believe my video about Solo is the longest video on the channel because I just went out on a tangent talking about how the movie could have been better. And I just couldn't stop talking about these ideas I had while watching the movie. Like, oh, if they had done this instead of that, the movie could have been better. And there was the robot character that I really didn't enjoy it. So yeah, if it's not the longest video, it's one of the longest ones. Solely because solely, you see that? Solely because I just couldn't stop talking about how I would have made that movie, the things I would have changed. And I believe there is also some problems that I didn't mention in there, like Solo's love interest, like that woman that he's in love with, which is completely out of place because we never see her in any of the other movies. She does not get mentioned in any of the other movies. So it's kind of weird to have her in there. And then we get to Rogue One, which is it's an okay movie. Again, I feel like this entire video will be just that. Me reading the titles of the movies and saying it's an okay movie. But this one, again, has nothing like that interesting about it. Mostly because we already know what what will come after. So, like, we already know that no one is gonna survive at the end of the movie because that's what is told on the New Hope one. They tell that people died trying to get the plans of the Death Star. So there is really not that much surprise on it. And I don't know, I feel like you could say, I don't feel like you could say the same about the prequels because, like, oh, we already know that Anakin is gonna become Vader. I don't feel like you can say that because the journey is still kind of interesting to see the character developing until it becomes a Sith Lord. Which I don't know. I just feel like it does not happen on Rogue One, and also there is the specific problems in that movie. Like we just keep jumping from one planet to another, and there is like some kind of useless characters. So yeah, I don't know. Just I will try to not get much specific about it because there is already a whole video about it. So moving on, there is The New Hope, and I really enjoyed this movie. Maybe it's not my favorite, but I believe it's the second favorite one. It's an interesting story, very solid, um, very simple, but still effective. The story is it's like it's just a random guy trying to save a princess. That's the story of the movie, but they sorry, but when they add the sci-fi and fantasy elements, it just becomes something different, and it kind of masks the simplicity of the story behind those elements. The characters are really cool. Um, I like those, mostly Solo, which I think I talked about it on the original video about how Solo became my favorite character. While before him, it was, I think it was Anakin or Obi-Wan. But I don't know, I just grew up, and the idea of this smuggler guy that is just trading goods, sometimes legal ones, sometimes illegal ones, kind of fits better into my political views. Um, so yeah, Solo became my favorite character. I believe it's mostly because of that. But yeah, really good movie. I just wish they hadn't destroyed the Death Star at the end of The New Hope because, well, it's this big threat, and I think it would have been better if they had left the destruction of the Death Star to the last movie. But I also understand that at the time they didn't knew if the franchise would work, so they just decided to make this one movie as close as possible. So you can just watch this one movie and nothing else, and you still have a great experience. And I feel like that kind of makes the movie not that great. Um, because sure, if you watch only The New Hope, yeah, great movie. But then when you analyze it as a franchise, just this repetition of the Death Star destruction that bothers me a little bit. But then we got to the holiday special, the greatest movie, and damn, that's so weird. I don't know how to describe that. It's just like random, unconnected adventures that they place together to make a movie. It's like, or like not really adventures, but shows. So now we're gonna have the cooking show. Now we're gonna have the circus show. Now we're gonna have the rock band show. So it's just these little things, these unconnected little things that they um, place a little bit of story in between. Um, I don't know. I feel like the story could have worked without the shows because it's an interesting story. They would have to change a lot, though, um, because it's the story's like this um, Wookiee family waiting for Chewie to come back home, and while they are waiting for him and Solo, um, the Imperials invade their house looking for rebel material. Um, so it's an interesting idea. You can see that on Inglorious Bastards at the beginning of the movie. It's kind of like that. What am I doing? I'm comparing Inglorious Bastards with Holiday Special. But the idea is kind of the same. We have the evil guys busting into a house trying to look for rebels, and there is this tension in the air. So the idea is kind of okayish. Um, well, the idea is good. The execution is kind of okayish on the holiday special, and then they had the shows in between. I don't know. It's clearly a movie for you to like put on the TV and just let the kids watch while you do something else. Um, that's the idea. The movie best to me. And then we get to my favorite one, which is The Empire Strikes Back. Again, I don't know much. I don't know what to talk about it that much. It's again an interesting movie about the rebels trying to flee the empire. Um, and I think what I mostly enjoy about this movie is Hans and Leia relationship, because it's the movie where they built that. They start as just two random people, Solo trying to conquer Leia and her just trying to avoid him. And at the end of the movie, they grew to love each other. So I like that aspect of it. And I don't know, there's not much to talk about it. There is the most iconic scenes, I believe, must be in this movie. Like the one that Luke uses a rope to make the AT-AT fall. Um, right at the beginning of the movie, we have the all the training arc montage happens in this movie. There is Boba Fett, there is Solo being frozen. So yeah, most most iconic scenes I believe it's in this movie. After it, we have Ewoks 1 and 2, which are okayish movies. It's clearly for kids. Again, the same idea as the holiday special. You just leave that running on the TV, let the kids watch it, and you go do something else. The first one is, I don't know, I feel like I enjoy the first one more when we analyze it inside a franchise because it has more Star Wars elements. Um, and you have to have in mind that this movie don't have much of them, but in comparison to the battle for Endor, yeah, it has a lot more of Star Wars elements. Um, if we analyze just the movie, yeah, it kind of sucks. Um, but yeah, on the battle of Endor, the things switch over. If we analyze it as a sole movie, as a standalone movie, it's way better. It works better. But as a franchise, it feels kinda off because it leans too much towards fantasy instead of the elements Star Wars are known for. And then we have the ending um, of the originals with the Return of the Jedi, which I believe it's the weakest of the original ones. I don't know. I just feel like the presence of the Emperor does not hold up. Like on the previous movie, we see him on the hologram, and on this one, on the Return of the Jedi, we finally see him in person, and I don't know. It just he does not strike that much fear. Um, so I have a problem with that. He just seems like this old man um, that could die at any time. And then there is again the destruction of the Death Star and the which, as I said, I didn't enjoy that much because of the repetition of this element. We already saw the Death Star being destroyed, and now we're just seeing again. And if you go back to the other videos, the one about the return of the Jedi is, I believe it's called Bigger and Scarier, which is kind of what we see with a lot of franchises nowadays, um, where it just gets the threat gets bigger and bigger on each movie until we get to a point where it cannot sustain itself, like Fast and Furious. They just kept going bigger and bigger, and now we have cars in space, time travel, and people being reborn or back or brought back to life. Um, so yeah, not that great of a movie. And to finish it off, the sequels, which I don't know. It's the first one, The Force Awakens, feels so good. Like it feels like we are gonna finally get a very high budget movie with good um, lightsaber fights, with good space exploration or whatever. And it is a good movie, the first one. Right, there is not much to talk about it, but um, it works. It's great. I like it. And then we just get a nosedive when we get to the Last Jedi. Um, and I don't know, it's weird, mostly because like the comparison between those two. Like The Force Awakens promises us so much for the franchise, and then we get hit by The Last Jedi, which is a terrible movie because they just don't know what to do with the characters they built. Like Phasma is not here anymore, or the General Hux is also not here. So they just made these really cool characters that they didn't really knew where to take them to. So they just ignored them. Luke is also kinda lame in this movie. I don't know, I feel like the guy that decided not to kill his father because he saw good inside him. I don't feel like he would act the way he acts in The Last Jedi. Like the guy went an extra mile to save his father because he thought there was good on him. And then on The Last Jedi he just goes against Kylo Ren and he's just all depressed and not believing in the Force anymore. So I don't know, it feels kinda lame. And then we have The Rise of Skywalker, which, well, Palpatine is back. Again, they had so much good characters in the franchise, and they just decided to bring back someone from the dead, which it's bad. It's just terrible. I don't know. I feel like that chapter should have been already closed, and they should have left Palpatine as he was. So, yeah, that's the general idea for the franchise. That's how I feel about it. Like a brief summarize of every movie. And when I look at every one of them, I don't know, I feel like the franchise is just has just has a lot more of terrible movies than good ones. So yeah, that's my that's my overview for this. Is it worth to watch? Sure. Maybe not every single movie as I did. Like just watch the 9 main movies. Maybe you can even skip the sequels. Because of how terrible they are. And if you only watch The Force Awakens, you end the franchise on a cliffhanger. So just avoid them. Yeah. So I don't know. That's about it. See you in the next one.